Hey everybody, what's going on? Your host LovelyCheesePizza here. Welcome back to Let's Play some more Gran Turismo 3, the Ultimate Driving Simulator. My back hurts really bad, and so I might be kind of fidgeting around trying to find a comfortable spot to sit because right now it's not great. I woke up yesterday and my back was really sore. Tried to do some things to, take some of the pain and discomfort away. Went away for a little bit, and now it's back with a vengeance, and it hurts. It is not a comfortable thing. So I figure after I'm done doing today's recording stuff, probably gonna go lay on the healing couch in the living room, because we call it the healing couch for a reason. It has mystical powers. I'm not fucking kidding. It's wild, man. It's just an old-ass couch, but if you're sick or you're just not feeling very good, you can go lay down on that thing, and I swear, it just, all of a sudden, you just feel better later on. And so that's totally gonna be what I'm going to be doing today after I get done with this stuff. And it looks like we're starting the day doing the longest race there is, seemingly. I think Grand Valley is actually longer than this, believe it or not. But it's pretty close. And so this will be our thing. 4 laps on it, though. That's kind of a lengthy little experiment. Thank God we're not having to deal with tire wear, though. That would be a pain in the ass. So luckily it's not a deal. But, I've not really been able to, film a lot of things lately, so I haven't really gotten to talk with you guys about what's been going on. And so, let me give you a little update on some things that have happened recently, because this past weekend had a lot of stuff going on, and not exactly in a very positive light. So, I'll give you a little schmagiggle here. So, what I do remember is that I had told you that my other grandma, not the one that I live with, was in the hospital. She had tripped over one of her oxygen cords, and she fell, and she had like a laceration over her eye, and she also had she'd busted her hip, and she broke her shoulder, and so they were gonna have, and she'd also I think, like, cracked a rib, possibly, or, damaged a rib. And so they were going in and they were going to, do a surgical procedure to try to get all that stuff fixed up. But the problem is, because she has terminal scleroderma in her lungs, is basically turning her lungs into, like, wet cement. And so, her oxygen requirements are just unbelievably high. And so they weren't sure if she was going to be able to make it through the procedure or not. But they went along with the surgery anyways, and they were actually able to complete the surgery just fine. And so they were going to have her in a room for recovery, and everything was going to be all hunky-dory. But about a day after they started the recovery process with her, one of the nights, her oxygen levels just absolutely plummeted. I mean, they went down to, I think her oxygen retention was like 57%, which is, I mean, that is like deathly low, like dead serious. And so they thought that she might not be able to make it through the evening. And so, we all went down there, and we were, we went to go see her because we thought, this may be the last time that we see her. So we went down there, and, we kind of sort of made our peace on that, we wanted to tell her that we loved her, and, that she was gonna be in better hands, just in case we didn't get to see her after that. And, we stayed there for a little while, and then we left. And then, the next morning she kind of came out of it a little bit, and she was coherent, and she was talking, and she was able to do all that stuff. But then on Saturday evening, on Saturday evening, things took a turn for the worse again. And that, like, even after that first time, they still had put kind of a time frame of like, hey, it's nice that she kind of came out of it, but we're realistically only going to give her maybe between like 3 to 5 days. Could be more, could be less. It's just, you know, the situation that she's in, it's not looking great. So we're going to give you a little bit of time to, you know, kind of get things ready, and, you know, and then we'll go from there. And so we thought, you know, maybe we'll have a few days, you know, maybe up to like a week. And then like a day later on Saturday, it was like 9 o'clock, and then all of a sudden I get a call from my dad. It's like, hey, just to let you know, she could have, you know, less than an hour to live at this point. Like, it's at a point where it's steadily dropping at this point, and we don't know if she's going to even get through the night or not. So if you want to come down and see her one more time, you should probably come do that. And so Michaela and I went down there, and bless her soul, when we got there, you know, she wasn't able to really speak at all. You know, very, very minimally at best. Like when I first got there, I went up there and I, you know, held her hand and I told her that I loved her, and it was one of the very few times that she spoke during the like 6 hours that we were there. But she told me that she loved me, and I got to hear that one more time. And you know, she was stable. You know, they had her on a respirator, and you know, they were kind of keeping her going. They wanted to make sure that everybody was going to be able to get in there to see her and you know, and visit with her for a little bit. And they were going to essentially slowly put her on morphine so that, you know, so that she couldn't feel any pain, and then they were going to essentially, you know, slowly reduce her oxygen until it would basically send her into a point of having a heart attack, but she wouldn't feel any pain, and then she would pass that way. It was kind of the protocol for how they were going to do that. I thought that once they started decreasing the oxygen, that it would take just a very, you know, short time for kind of the process to take hold. But she actually, you know, we were there for probably a good 6 hours, and you know, she ended up stabilizing even at that really low level for quite some time. And then we ended up leaving because, you know, I had to work the next day, and not, you know, maybe not too long after, about like 5 o'clock in the morning, she passed away. So my grandma passed away on Sunday morning, or actually, no, yeah, she passed away on Sunday, and it was just it was really sad, man. Or no, actually, you know what? No, it was on Sunday that we were there. Yeah, it was on Sunday, I believe. I'm thinking. Yeah, I think it was on Sunday, and she passed away on Labor Day, actually, and it was just a few days away from her birthday. It was just it was sad, man. I mean, the positive thing is that, you know, she doesn't have to hurt anymore, because having lupus and scleroderma and just all the other things that she's had for such a long time just destroyed her body, you know. Just it was terrible. So, you know, just knowing that she doesn't have to experience that kind of pain and anguish all the time anymore makes me happy. But just having to see all of my family in just so much pain, my dad especially, because he's always been the guy that's had to stay strong for everybody else. You know, he's always the one that's had to just kind of, you know, suck it up and keep plowing forward, because he's been the one that's had to get things done. And he finally had his moments in there where he cracked, and he couldn't hold it together anymore. I mean, I totally understand. You know, it's hard to be able to hold your constitution together like that for forever. He just finally fell apart, and you know, it was hard to see him that way, but it made me happy that he was finally able to just let it all out and stop bottling it up inside for such a long time. So he's still having a really hard time with it, naturally. I mean, it was his mom. So I mean, for him, he's had a really rough span of a few months, because he lost his mom and his stepmom in what, about 4 months apart. I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot to take in. And so, you know, it's a tough thing. And so, I mean, I've lost 2 out of my 3 grandmas in the same span, and so I've only got 1 left now. I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to, you know, have the one that I've got left for a good long time. Hard to know, you know, when you have accelerated heart disease, things can change at the flip of a coin, you know. but it's been a long week. It's been very draining. That's part of the reason why I've not been filming, is just the stress load has been so high with all of that. There's just been so much going on that I've not been like mentally there. And so, it's been hard, but you know, this is also, doing stuff like this is also therapeutic for me, so being able to get out and talk about it has certainly been helpful. So, oh boy. But, yeah, man, that's kind of what's been going on, so prayers would be, you know, prayers and positive vibes and anything that you can offer up to, you know, to my family, you know, especially my dad and my Aunt Julie. They're the ones that are really having the hardest time with it, obviously. So yeah, it just, you know, anything would be helpful. Not like in material possessions, obviously, but just, you know, keeping them in your thoughts and prayers and you know, things like that would certainly be helpful. So, other than that, other weird things, like outside in this fucking crazy world that we live in, especially in the state that I live in right now, it is fucking utter chaos out here. It's like more or less like living a real world version of Dante's Peak right now. I don't know how many of you, you know, people that don't live in this country probably haven't been following it as much, but I'm sure people that have been have seen it on the news or on Reddit or Twitter or whatever at least once, that there are wildfires out the fucking ass in this state right now, and it is out of control. And down in like the southern Oregon area, there's I think like 2 or 3 wildfires that are, you know, that are kind of wild in the Medford area, and then going up north, there's in the Eagle Creek area, spanning up that way up through Washington, there's been some completely unbelievably bad fires that are just like taking over. It's like literally the entire state's on fire, more or less. And I don't mean to like laugh like haha, it's funny. It's just like, it's fucking insane. Like, you go outside and look outside and you can't even see any clouds, and I haven't been able to see clouds for like 4 days. It's just been a constant stream of shit and horror this whole time, and like these fires are like minimally to not contained at all. And the crazy thing about the Eagle Creek fire specifically, for those of you that aren't aware of how this fire started, let me tell you, and it's well over 20,000 acres in size right now. It actually merged with another fire, so it's gone from out of control to super duper what the fuck out of control at this point. What's going on is, up in Eagle Creek, I don't know if it was at like a state park or not, but it was at an area where there were like, you know, like a couple hundred hikers that were in this area, and, you know, people maybe, you know, making campsites or whatever, but there were a couple of teenage kids. I think one was like 15 and one was 16. They decided that out in the forest, the greatest possible idea that they could come up with while they were out there, because, you know, they're fucking stupid-ass kids, was, hey, let's spice things up by lighting some fireworks out here. Near all the trees and super flammable things, let's light off some fireworks and throw some firecrackers and smoke bombs in the fucking forest. In the forest! What? Who the fuck does that? Who does that? And so they're like, oh, it's just a bunch of harmless fun. Nothing could possibly, you know, come negatively from such a thing. And then, just like that, they end up starting a fucking fire. I guarantee you, if Smokey the Bear found these 2 kids, he wouldn't just, you know, pull them off to the side, you know, arm around the shoulder. Hey, kids, Smokey the Bear says you shouldn't be lighting fireworks and firecrackers and smoke bombs in the forest because it's going to kill all of the trees and all of... I don't know why this is turning into like a Bill Cosby voice, but it kind of is. It's going to kill all of the trees and all the animals and the zippity-bap-bappity-doo, you know? Instead, I'm pretty sure that Smokey the Bear would just fucking murder these kids at this point. He's like, you know what? Fuck it! Fuck it! You guys are fucking ruining everything and you guys are stupid! Who told you this was a good idea? Look at the fucking fire, you jackasses! Look what you've done! He's like, I can't take it anymore! I've been on this campaign for years, and people aren't learning shit. You know, I taught your parents, and obviously they didn't teach you anything. So you know what? You guys are gonna fucking die. And just obliterates them both. And you know what? Maybe that wouldn't be a horrible thing, because now, I mean, they've done totally incredible, probably irreparable damage, really. I mean, it's gonna take decades to probably, you know, fix all of that. And there's people whose homes have been destroyed. I don't know whether there's been, you know, injuries and fatalities, but you'd have to imagine if a wildfire is spanning well over 20,000 acres and is, you know, virtually uncontained at this point, there probably had to be something. I mean, these kids, you know, I don't think they can be thrown into, you know, federal butt-pounding jail for this, but, I mean, you've got to imagine there's going to be some kind of crazy fine involved, whether it's them or their parents getting sucked into the proverbial death trap that is that. But that's just, it's so disheartening to see that, you know, a fire that's just destroying everybody's, you know, everybody in that area's lives and livelihoods and such could have been completely avoided if it weren't for two just piece of shit jackass kids that decided that, you know, the 4th of July wasn't over yet, so we needed to keep the ball rolling. And it pisses me off, man. And the air quality in Oregon has been just so fucking bad. Like, they have like an air quality scale, and it has improved a little bit because we were fortunate enough to get some rain last night that it could clear out a little bit of it. But I think yesterday or the day before, the air quality was at like 430, which, you know, this is kind of like, the air quality scale is kind of like golf. You don't want it to be high. The higher, the worse. So 0 obviously is like optimal, and anything above, I think, like 250 is considered like hazardous to your health. And so it was at like a 400, I think. It was super bad. And just like in the areas where it's happening, like you could look up at the sky and it was like orange. And we've like any given night where you can see the moon. The moon is just like a bright, like macaroni and cheese powder orange. It's bad. It's really bad. So it's been nuts, dude. It's been quite the haul in here. And the other thing, and I hate to get into politics because politics is not really where stuff like this belongs, but Oregon's governor is a fucking idiot. She is so stupid, and I don't mean that to be like, oh, Adam hates women. Adam thinks the women are fucking stupid people. Obviously not, because I'm getting married to an absolutely brilliant one. But our governor's a fucking idiot. At any given time, she could have been like, hey, I've got a really good idea. Let's bust out those fucking, like, super tanker, you know, planes and such that, you know, they have in, like, California to dispatch a lot of their wildfires that they use all the time. And that would probably be a pretty effective way to, you know, contain the fire, since, you know, it's getting ridiculous. And I think that we have 1 or 2 of them in this state for such an occasion. And who decided not to use those while it's still burning the fuck out of control? Good old Governor Kate Brown of the state of Oregon. She's like, well, you know, we've got other things that we can do. It's like, you know, I'm pretty sure that just using some helicopters ain't getting the fucking job done. Otherwise, they would have been gone by now. So maybe you should get your head up out of your fucking cooter and, you know, make the call and be like, yeah, bust out the heavy artillery, let's douse this fucker so people can go back home. And, you know, maybe have it so that we're not literally choking the entire population to death with this volcanic bullshit. It's literally like the air quality is like having a volcano erupting without the volcano erupting. I mean, I'm numerous miles away from the, like, I'm probably a good, you know, probably 100 miles away from one of them and probably 250 miles away from the other one, but the winds are bringing all this ash and stuff. It's crazy. Like, I woke up the other day and I had ash like all over the top of my car. It was nuts. I was like, what the fuck is this? Did Mount St. Helens blow again or what? It's just that, like, that's the extent of how much fire is in this state right now. And I don't mean fire like spitting hot rhymes and such. I mean fire as in, like, incendiary, just kablibbity blah, you know? It is no bueno. So, That's what's been going on in my world lately. But hey, look at this. The clean sweep is going. I'm feeling pretty good about it. Also, one thing that I'm kind of excited about is I finally decided to bust out my little tiny desktop computer that I'm going to put right here, right up against the wall, just to use as like a little extra thing. I might use it potentially as like a little thing to use as like a research tool. Like if I'm in a video and I'm like stuck and I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, I could just pop onto this computer instead of using the one that's doing all the capture. I don't want to do too much multitasking with it in the moment. I can just jump on that and just be like, dig. Look how small this little thing is, by the way. It's not very big. It's just a little tiny tower. This thing, in comparison to my actual desktop computer, it's like throwing a dime in the ocean. Literally, it's like you would basically need like 4 of those to make my desktop. It's craziness. But yeah, a cool little old computer that I can use for just, you know, menial tasks, and I can play old games on it, so why not? Play a little game of Mini Golf Master when I get done. So, with that, my friends, we're going to call it good right here. When we come back, on the next installment of Let's Play Gran Turismo 3, the ultimate simulator of the driving action, we've got, what, 2 more races to go, I believe? And we will hopefully knock those out, get our prize car. There we go. And we'll move on with our lives. So until then, my friends, this is your host, LovelyCheesePizza, saying thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye, everybody. Take it easy.